It's 11:47 p.m. You told yourself you'd put the phone down an hour ago. You didn't. Your thumb moves before you've even decided to move it. You already know there's nothing new. You check anyway. Why? The easy answer is that phones are designed to be addictive. That's true. But the real answer is far stranger. The pull you feel isn't a flaw in your willpower. It's a survival system, hundreds of thousands of years old, firing exactly the way it evolved to fire. Your brain isn't broken. It's ancient. Go back 300,000 years. You are not scrolling a feed. You are scanning a horizon. Every bush might hide fruit or a predator. Every sound might mean food or danger. Your ancestors who survived were the ones who couldn't stop checking. The ones who got bored of scanning, who assumed the environment had nothing new to offer, were the ones who missed the lion in the grass, or missed the berries that would get them through winter. Checking wasn't a bad habit. Checking was the job. It kept you alive. Here's where it gets interesting. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment that would end up explaining your phone 70 years before it existed. He put pigeons in a box with a lever. Press the lever. Get a food pellet. Simple enough. But then he changed one variable. Instead of a pellet every time, he made the reward random. Sometimes the lever paid off, sometimes it didn't. You'd expect the pigeons to lose interest. They didn't. They pressed harder. They pressed more often. They pressed compulsively, long after Skinner stopped giving them any food at all. Predictable rewards satisfy you and then let you move on. Unpredictable rewards trap you in the loop. Skinner called this a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. Your brain calls it Tuesday. Decades later, a neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz wanted to know what was actually happening inside the brain during moments like this. He recorded dopamine neurons in primates while they waited for rewards. What he found surprised almost everyone in the field. Dopamine wasn't spiking when the reward arrived. It was spiking beforehand, during the uncertainty. The anticipation itself was the chemical event. And when the reward became unpredictable, when the animal genuinely didn't know if it was coming, the dopamine signal didn't shrink. It grew. Uncertainty isn't the enemy of craving. Uncertainty is the engine of it. Does that sound familiar? Every time you unlock your phone, you are a pigeon at the lever. You don't know if there's a message. You don't know if the video is good. You don't know if anyone liked the photo. That not knowing is precisely the ingredient your dopamine system evolved to chase, because for most of human history, not knowing was exactly what kept you alert to a changing, dangerous, resource-scarce world. There's one more piece, and it comes from a researcher named Kent Berridge, who spent decades separating two things most people assume are the same: wanting something and liking something. Berridge's lab found these run on almost entirely separate systems in the brain. You can want something intensely, feel the pull of it, the itch of it, without actually enjoying it once you have it. That gap between wanting and liking is exactly the gap you feel after 45 minutes of scrolling. You wanted to check. You did not particularly enjoy what you found. And somehow you're already reaching for it again. This is the counterintuitive twist. The app is not exploiting a weakness that lives only in the modern world. It is exploiting a strength. The exact same circuitry that once sent your ancestors out to check the ridgeline, to check the riverbank, to check whether the fruit had ripened since yesterday, is the circuitry lighting up when you check whether someone replied. The behavior looks identical from the inside. Scan. Detect uncertainty. Feel the pull. Check. Anthropologists studying present-day hunter-gatherer groups, including the Hadza of Tanzania, have documented how much of daily life is organized around exactly this kind of environmental scanning. Foraging isn't a straight walk to a known food source. It's constant, active checking of an uncertain landscape, because the landscape changes and the payoff is never guaranteed. Sound familiar again? Your phone didn't invent this behavior. It just built a perfect box around it. No weather, no walking, no risk of an actual predator. Just the lever, always in your pocket, always ready to be pressed. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Your ancestors' checking behavior had a ceiling. Eventually, they ran out of horizon. The sun went down. The forest ended. There was only so much landscape to scan in a day, and then the scanning had to stop because scanning cost energy and energy was scarce. Your phone has no horizon. There is no edge to the feed. There is no moment where the environment says, "That's all there is. Go rest now." The scanning system that evolved inside a world of limits is now running inside a world with none. That mismatch, not any personal failure of yours, is the actual mechanism behind the compulsive check. You are not weak for reaching for your phone 40 times a day. You are running 600,000-year-old software on hardware it was never built to face. The pigeons in Skinner's box eventually had a researcher who could end the experiment. Yours doesn't end. It's designed not to. So what do you do with that? Not much, if the goal is to shame yourself into stopping. Shame doesn't touch dopamine circuitry, it just adds another loop to sit inside. But naming the mechanism does something quieter and more useful. The next time your thumb moves before you've decided to move it, you can recognize what's actually happening. That's not a text message pulling you in. That's the ridgeline. That's the riverbank. That's 100,000 generations of successful ancestors, all of them checking, because the ones who stopped checking didn't get to have descendants. You come from an unbroken line of checkers. That's not a character flaw. That's the whole reason you're here to read this sentence. Tonight, your phone will buzz again, or it won't, and you'll check anyway, just to be sure. Before you do, notice the feeling underneath the reach. It isn't boredom. It isn't even curiosity. Not really. It's the same electric, ancient uncertainty that once meant the difference between finding food and going hungry, between spotting danger and walking into it. You're not checking your phone. You're still scanning the horizon. It's just that somebody finally figured out how to put the whole horizon in your pocket and never let it run out.